Welcome to Grip It and Sip It. This is our first episode. Looking forward to getting going. I've got myself, Jared Holden, and my co-host, Matthew Lindberg. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Jared. Thank you. How are you doing today?
And I'm doing fantastic. I cannot complain. We're ready to go. Let's get it going. We got to talk, obviously, last week's Farmers Insurance Open. Right out the gate, Patrick Reed obviously wins pretty convincingly, I'd say. You had Viktor Hovland and Tony Finau, a number of other guys who were kind of right there on Sunday, but seemed to kind of fade away. Reed stays steady, but I think obviously the story of the week isn't Patrick Reed winning by 5, but Patrick Reed finding himself in controversy yet again.
Patrick Reed doing what Patrick Reed does best, I feel. He is not one to shy away from a little controversy. And if you checked your Twitter over the weekend, some interesting tweets coming out from everybody about it. So you know what? It's good I like it. It creates conversation. It's good for golf. Not to say what he did is right by any stretch, but it's something for us to talk about.
Well, and it's interesting how I haven't seen very many people come out defending what he did outside of the actual PGA officials. The PGA came out and said that what he did was absolutely 100% correct. And he reiterated that in every single interview he did. I've played in plenty of events, and I know you have as well. And I've never seen anybody do something like that. And if I did see someone in my playing group do that, I would be throwing a fit. Didn't look good. I don't think it's a good look for the PGA Tour to allow something like that to happen and not come out and call him out. Regardless of that, though, give him a 2-stroke penalty and the guy still wins by 3, right? You can't take too much away from his victory, but it sure did look like cheating to me.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't take anything away from his victory, but to put your ball in your hand that quickly is just a no-no. For myself, having been a player, having been a rules official in some events, you want to give that rules official the chance to make the proper decision, not take the decision away from him, essentially. I think Patrick Reed knows that when he picks up the ball, that he's taking that into his own hands, and he knows now he leaves the rules official with no choice outside of, that's the biggest thing. That's the thing I think that really gets me about the whole thing.
Yeah. No, 100% agree. I think that it needed to be handled differently on his end. It definitely needed to, his playing partners were not called over for one, right? The first thing you do in that situation is have your playing partners come over, take a look at what's going on, and then move forward from there, depending on what direction. They could either say, hey, yeah, we agree, it's embedded, pick it up, move on, or say, hey, we're not quite sure, let's get a rules official over, and then take it out of all of your hands and have it go to a rules official to do their job. That's what they're there for. And you can't tell me that they were worried about the pace of play or anything like that. There's rules officials on every hole, right? When he finally waved someone over, it took the guy less than 60 seconds to get over to him. He's in a cart driving over, right? I think it was just a poor decision, but it's just a poor decision in that he's made year after year. I mean, this is the Patrick hat-trick. In 2019, you've got the Hero World Challenge, improving your lie in the bunker. The video is here. In 2020, you've got the US Open, where he improved his lie by taking a wedge, putting it behind the ball, tapping the grass down, and then pulling out a 3-wood to be able to now miraculously hit a 3-wood out of the thickest US Open rough, right? And then obviously coming into this year, you've got what he's doing. It's just bad luck, right? He can't get out of his own way.
You're exactly right. In a sport that, not to say it's it should be different, but it is different because you are out there by yourself. You're expected to uphold a certain ethical practice because you guys are out there alone. It's not like you've got a referee right next to you like in every other sport, basketball, football, that are throwing flags on you. You know, you have to throw a flag on yourself, and we've seen that from a lot of golfers over the course of time. So I don't know what the equivalent is in other sports, but it's up there. It's unprecedented, and there's guys in every sport that do it and kind of bend the rules, I guess you could say, because they know they can. But yeah, until he gets punished, I think it's going to come up again. I mean, maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but in the future, because he's going to take it and get away with it for as long as he can until he gets punished for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And I think that really kind of goes into, you can't take anything away from his game itself, right? If you look at his game, his skill level, it's incredible. He's always been a solid player from the time that he was at University of Georgia as a junior golfer at Augusta State. You know, early years on the tour, what he's done in the Ryder Cup, what he's done in majors, you can't take away from his game. But at the end of the day, when the man retires with, you know, 2 or 3 majors and 15 or 20 victories under his belt, what's his real legacy going to be? Right? Is it going to be the amazing victories that he's had and the record he had at the President's Cup and or is it going to be the fact that he's known by other players in his entire career from junior golf until his PGA Tour days as a guy who would bend the rules as far as he could?
It's unfortunately for him at this point in his career, it's definitely the latter. It's what people remember. You know, I think winning cures a lot. I mean, what was the Tiger Woods cover? Winning cures everything. But in Patrick Reed's case, when it's this, it's different because people are always going to view you as a quote unquote cheater, to quote Chambly.
Yeah, well, and then you got Chambly, who was pretty vocal the last couple of years on Patrick Reed, who's definitely been a little quieter about Reed and his antics, but that's mainly because Reed's attorney contacting Chambly and the Golf Channel and threatening lawsuits for defamation if you continue to talk about it. And that again is Reed's legacy, right? You know, when you have to have your attorney step in and try and change the narrative because it's looking bad on your client. Not that it's not true, but it's looking bad. So you have, I mean, that's just not a good look, right? Again, these are things that are going to continue to happen. If it's not Chambly, it's going to be someone else. It's going to be us calling him a liar. It's going to be the next guy, right? Like, because that's what he is, and that's what he's proven, right?
So I like that it's opened up the conversation to a lot of this stuff. I mean, if there's a positive in it, it's opening up the conversation, but it almost has to be his legacy because, you know, okay, well, what are you going to teach a kid that's growing up trying to play this game? You know, you're not going to teach him to ground your club in a bunker to improve your lie. Like, it's not fair. You're not being fair to yourself. And you're definitely not being fair to your fellow competitors because nobody else is doing that. And if they are, they should be punished for it because golf in and of itself will never be totally equal because of just the way it is. I mean, you can hit a perfect drive and be in divot. It is what it is. But we all deal with it week in, week out. And that's just the nature of the game. You play it as it lies. I know it's cliche, but it's the truth. It's the game. Otherwise, the game is not the same game whatsoever.
Yeah. So this week we got upcoming Waste Management Phoenix Open. Matt, I've got to tell you, I'm a little excited. This is one of my favorite tournaments of the year. I used to live in Tucson, Arizona a number of years ago, and golf is fun in the desert.
I agree. I don't have a lot of experience in Arizona, mostly California out west. But with that said, obviously a great tournament. You know, it is what it is this year, 2020 into 2021. We know the world's different. The waste management's going to look different this year for sure. Otherwise, it's arguably one of the best, if not the best venues in golf. I mean, the stadium, walking into it for the golfers, I'm sure everyone has seen. If you haven't, please YouTube it. Tiger Woods' hole-in-one there. One of the wildest, loudest roars in golf in that stadium. So it's going to look different, but you know what? I'm glad we have it, and it's going to be a good event. It always is. It's always entertaining.
So, last year we had the 2020 winner of Webb Simpson. He won in a playoff over Tony Finau with a 17 under par score. I expect a lot of good golf to be played this weekend. Some pretty low scores as well. I think it's also a score that it's a tournament that people can go pretty low. You've got reachable par fives, and then you've got some par fours that are pretty long as well. So possibly unreachable depending on wind conditions. But I would anticipate a pretty low score. Matt, what's the winning score this year? What's your prediction?
I haven't looked at the weather, but regardless, these guys are always playing better. I'm going to say 18. I'm going to say they won up last year. Go 18 under par.
I'm going to go a little bit higher, Matt. I think it's going to be 20 under par and probably a 2 to 3 stroke victory this week. Course where you can go really low, short par fives, a couple long par fours. I think the par fives are definitely going to be scored upon. But I think we're going to have some great golf regardless. This leads us into our Grip It and Sip It fantasy game. Each week, we will be picking 4 guys, and we'll be calculating total prize pool for it. The only rule is you can't pick the same guys in the consecutive weeks. It's going to be myself versus you, Matt, and a listener. This week's listener is Kevin Arnold, the general manager at Crimson Creek Golf Course. Kevin's picks this week are Brooks Koepka, Jon Rahm, Xander Schauffele, and Chez Reavie. Who are your picks, Matt?
That is a stacked list, by the way. I love his Jon Rahm pick. So I definitely went Jon Rahm with my first pick. Little sneaky, I don't know how sneaky it is anymore. Hideki Matsuyama is another one of my picks this week. I'm going with some young blood in Matthew Wolff. And it's crazy to call this guy old. He's not old, but going with Jason Day.
I love me a little Jason Day, by the way. I met him a couple times in Columbus when I lived there, him and his wife. Wonderful people. Has anybody ever told you kind of look like Matt Wolff?
I got that a couple times. Yeah, a couple times.
Use it to get into some tour events. Give it a shot.
Should.
So I've got.
I did it that far.
Yeah. I absolutely love your Jon Rahm pick and Kevin's Jon Rahm pick. You've got a guy who it's basically like playing at your home course. He's from Phoenix, went to school at Arizona State, still calls the area home, I believe. It's a very easy place for him to be. I think he's going to do really well, and I kind of expect him to win this week, right? I've also got Hideki Matsuyama. He seems to play this course very well. He's obviously a past champion. I think he definitely makes a cut, probably top 10, top 15 finish with the potential of being able to win as well. I've also got Xander Schauffele, who is hot right now. He has been hot. Finished last year hot, started this year hot. I really kind of expect him to do well. I believe he actually leads the field in strokes gained from tee to green right now. If not, he's pretty darn close. I think I feel like he's flying under the radar just a little bit, but I think he should be on everybody's minds. So I agree with Kevin on that pick as well. And then my kind of sleeper pick, right, is Sam Burns. And Sam Burns has been playing fantastic. And, the only person better than him in the last 90 days over to TD Green is JT. I don't know what to think about JT right now, coming off his controversial comments that, we can actually get into that here in just a little bit. But yeah, so I'm going with Rum, Matsuyama, Burns, and Shoffley. Obviously, next week we will give an update on our standings.
Gotta watch the Super Bowl. I'll be definitely tuning in, but I will absolutely be following the golf. I usually follow it every week. Try to watch as much as I can, and it's fun to follow these guys. See what they've got going on, see who's playing well. Because in just less than a couple months, Masters again.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a big time for these guys right now. They're all going to be gearing up.
Yeah, and speaking of gearing up and the Masters upcoming, in golf news right now, the last couple of weeks, we find out that Tiger Woods is having yet another surgery. From the sounds of it, or he's had another surgery. From the sounds of it, it was a minor procedure. You can put quotations around that. I think anytime you have a surgery that is around your spine, it's not so minor in my mind. But yeah, so, Tiger's surgery, he's out, obviously pulled out this weekend, next week for Waste Management. Although I don't think he typically plays in that event, or hasn't since his infamous hole-in-one there. But he's pulled out for his next couple of events here. When do you expect to see him back? Is it Bay Hill? Is it the Masters? Is it, what is that event that he kind of gets that swing into to gear up?
I don't know. And I know it's a terrible answer, but a surgery is a surgery, especially when it's that many surgeries on a particular body part. Your body surgery is always the last resort. And imagine now, I know he's needed it, and what he's done is nothing short of incredible. I don't even know if it gets the credit that, and we can get into that in another episode. However, I don't know. He's going to have to play if he's thinking Masters, which I don't even know. I think he's just going to go what his body tells him to at this point. If he's thinking Masters, I don't think he's going to pull a stunt where he just plays in that as his first event. So he's either going to play earlier, like at a Bay Hill, potentially later even than that, and then play the Masters. Otherwise, I could even see it being after the Masters, to be honest with you, as sad as that is to say.
Yeah, I would hate to see him miss the Masters. Obviously, a guy sitting on 15 majors, 3 behind Jack. You look at it and say, what are the tournaments that he really has an opportunity to win as a major? And I think you can still state every year that the Masters is won. Until he proves us wrong. I mean, he's 40 some years old and he wins a couple of years ago, which to me was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. And, so I think until he proves us that he can't do it, he starts missing cuts every year because he's just not good enough anymore. I say that's one, but there's other tournaments, right? Like there's other ones that I think he can definitely pull out. This year out at Torrey, would have been good to see him this week at Farmers, so he gets a little practice on that course before a major being played there in the same year, which is kind of rare that happens. But I think that's one. But I think the number is starting to get a little. It's dwindling down, his opportunities. So
yeah.
I hope to see him back sooner than later. Obviously, it's a lot more fun when Tiger's on tour and playing. Bay Hill is March 4th through the 7th. After that, you got the Players Championship, the 11th to the 14th. Honda Classic is the 18th through the 21st. I think he could really come back to any of those. I don't expect to see him, especially after surgery, playing in the match play, even though I think it's a great event for the lead up. I don't think he puts 4 or 5 days in a row of golf on his body, especially if you do make championship, having to play 36 potentially in a day. I don't see that happening. So that obviously is is a bummer. He's done well recently in Texas at that event. Uh, it could be as late as the Valero Texas Open the week before the Masters to get a warm up. Again, I don't see him possibly putting 2 weeks in a row together. So I don't know. I hope we don't see him miss the Masters, but it's definitely a potential.
Yes, it is. I think Tiger's going to do what Tiger's going to do. I think he's smart enough now to listen to his body. He has to be, he has no choice. And, we'll just see him when we see him. Hopefully we do see him for the Masters, because I agree. I think probably a lot of people that are going to listen to this podcast are going to know Tiger and have grew up with Tiger. So I think I speak for many that say, anytime he wins, we want to see him win. I certainly want to see him win. He's a generational player, so and his chances are dwindling. Some U.S. Opens outside of a few golf courses, you put them on a lot of U.S. Open tracks, those become harder and harder to attain just because of the test that is.
Absolutely. I think
we'll
a venue that he might actually have a good shot at is Southern Hills Country Club in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is now the home of the 2022 PGA Championship after the PGA ruled to end their relationship with Donald J. Trump, President Trump's golf courses that he is affiliated with, which was supposed to be at Trump National in 2022. Tiger winning there in 2007. I'm pretty excited to have it at Southern Hills, as I'm based out of Oklahoma City, so it's just a quick 90-minute drive up there to watch, and know that we and a few guys have already planned to go up there for it. What are your thoughts, Matt, on the PGA's decision to end their relationship with Trump-owned golf courses and making the switch so late from Trump National to Southern Hills?
Yeah, so I'm going to take it more outside of the politics of it and talk about where I feel for people is I've worked at a course that's hosted a major. I know what it means for that golf course. I know what it means for the people that work there. I know what it means for the city. Because keep in mind, this was when I worked at a course that had a PGA championship. It was Oakland Hills in Detroit in 2008. I think we all remember 2008. We remember that Tiger wasn't there. We remember that, we were in borderline depression in 2008, 2009. It was bad, and Detroit was the hardest hit city. So it was almost like a perfect storm of just crud that got dumped on at that time. So I know all too well what it means to have something like that stripped away from a course. All the work that goes in prior to it. It's not like this just gets put up overnight. This work is getting done years and years, so ahead of time. So where my heart hurts the most is for the people, not necessarily the name or why it was done, but that city that gets taken away from, and the people that work there. That's ultimately how I feel about it. So it stinks. It stinks for that reason. And I know someone else is going to benefit from it down in Tulsa. Everybody's happy. It's a great golf course. It's going to be a great event. But when you plan that long for something and have it stripped away, those people did nothing wrong. So it's hard at that, in that aspect of things.
Yeah, and I'm going to stay. I want to stay out of the politics side as well, which is also the way I feel about the PGA. I don't think the PGA should have put their foot down and drawn a line in the sand the way they did. I feel that, any organization like the PGA, like the NFL, like the, Major League Baseball, NBA, I feel that they should stay out of politics. I don't think there's, as a fan, I don't know of any fan out there that has said, I watch it because of their politics, right? I don't know of any fan that watches and says, I hope they really do something political in this game, right? It's just you're athletes, you're paid to go do a sport in in golf especially, you're not even paid, you're trying to get paid. You're trying to do something. And I just don't feel that the PGA should have involved themselves in the conversation that was being had. And obviously it's an important conversation that's happening all over our country right now. But I mean, it's sports, right? Like I personally, I don't want politics mixed with sports. I don't think it's the right avenue, right? So I'm disappointed in the PGA's decision to sever their ties with Trump-owned golf courses, moving it from Trump National. I do agree with you. I think it's a shame for the people of that community. I think it's a shame for the golf course itself. I think it's a shame for the fans because it is a great golf course. But at the same time, it's exciting to have it back in Tulsa at Southern Hills Country Club. I know those folks do a great job. I've personally played that course. It's phenomenal, tough, and I would love to be able to go back out there and see Tiger play in that again. And honestly, think he has a chance to play well out there. It's a tight course, tight fairways, thick rough, undulated greens, lengthy. It's a fantastic challenge that you don't really expect to see super low scores at as well. So yeah, that's interesting. I hope we don't see fallout from those decisions that the tour has made, but no, we will see. So Matt, you are a PGA professional. And you own your own business. Tell us a little bit about that, and I'd love to see your video tip of the week.
Yeah, you got it, Jared. So, yeah, since this is our first episode, obviously, I'm a PGA professional. I own Matt Lindberg Golf and teach at 2 locations here outside of Milwaukee in Wisconsin. And I definitely enjoy it. It's where my passion lies for sure. And, currently during the winter time, since we're not on the golf course, as an instructor, I really enjoyed getting on the course and teaching a lot. But in the winter time, I also use a device called TrackMan, little orange box that you typically see on tour at a lot of events. And, it gives us some really good data. It gives us some really good lessons. So recently, in a lot of lessons, I've been dealing with attack angle issues and or how you strike the golf ball. So I think we all know, or if we don't, this will be a nice little learning time. We want to hit ball and then ground, especially when hitting irons or anything off the ground. The only time you really don't want to hit down is with a driver. So this week's tip of the week is going to be about angle of attack and how to improve that with your irons. So we're going to show you a quick little drill on how to improve that. Really simple video, about 2 minutes long. Definitely go out and try it. But to put it into a simplest form, if you're not hitting down on your irons, or if you tend to suffer from chunks or hitting behind the ball and or hitting a ball thin, this video could definitely be for you. And probably another little plug, if you haven't already, I would invest in some face tape and or even some like Dr. Scholl's foot spray to spray on your club to see where you're hitting the ball on the face. So definitely helps to understand your strike first and then see what you need to improve on. So
now, is that for any club, Matt? Is that, use the face tape, use the spray on your irons as much as you're using it on your woods?
Yes, I use it on everything. I use the foot spray because I use TrackMan, so the face tape will screw up spin numbers. But you could use either one if you're just hitting balls. It's probably the number one thing, especially with irons today, that are really forgiving. You might think you're hitting it in a decent spot, but it's amazing. Kind of guys are almost blown away. You know, I've never really checked where I hit the ball. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm on that far on the toe or that far on the heel. So if you want to increase your distance and play better, that's the first thing you should solve is your strike.
Perfect. Well, let's take a look at this video.
Hey guys, Matt Lindberg coming at you here from the practice station. Today we're going to talk about attack angle and why that's important in your golf swing. So what is attack angle? When you come to a simulator, you'll see some data parameters. Attack angle is essentially how your golf club is coming into the golf ball relative to the horizon. So essentially think of it like this. You want a negative attack angle with every club in your bag outside of driver, really. The degree of attack angle is going to vary depending on if you have a wedge or, say, a fairway wood. But when the ball is on the ground, we need a downward attack to make sure that we have a good strike on the golf ball. A lot of times in lessons, I'll see a positive attack angle on irons, which means that the club is coming up into the golf ball. So what you're going to find with that is either somebody that chunks the golf ball, or if they do make contact, it's going to be very low on the club face. So what I want to do today is do just a simple drill. If you suffer from this attack angle, a positive attack angle, especially in irons, here's a quick drill that you can work on to get your attack angle to improve over time. Here's just a quick and easy drill for you to do. So what I'm going to ask you to do is set up in your normal posture, golf ball in the normal position. I've got a 7-iron here, so I've got the ball pretty much right in the middle of my stance. I'm going to push the ball up about an inch or so. I'm going to bring my club back to where the ball used to be. And now I'm going to go hit that ball, and I'm going to go chase it. Go get it. A lot of times when our attack angle is going positive in a iron, we're hanging back. This drill is going to help you shift your weight onto your front foot and then turn. So really post up on that left leg. I would hit 2 or 3 with that drill, then move the ball back to the normal position and try to keep that feeling of having that ball so far forward.
Matt, that's some good stuff, man. I love it. I'm actually going to go out and as soon as I get some weather that will allow and see what I can do to put that to use, buddy. I love it.
Perfect. Love it.
Hey, so let's quickly jump in. I just wanted to kind of give an open discussion. I think it plays off pretty well this week with what happened, this last weekend at the Farmers, and just kind of give an open discussion on who do you think is the most hated player on tour. And I think I will go with Patrick Reed. I don't hear many guys talking about, I love playing with Patrick or whatnot. I think, 20 years ago, you probably could have said Tiger Woods. I don't think there were very many people on tour that enjoyed playing with the guy. Today is obviously different after everything he's gone through. But I think throughout his entire career, nobody has really said, I enjoy playing with Patrick. What are you thinking?
Whew. Hate's a strong word. I'd be really curious. We should almost do a poll for the listeners to see what they think.
Love it.
I think that would be great. But if I'm not going to say Patrick Reed, I'm actually going to pick Bryson as who I think could be. And you can't get inside these guys' heads, so you don't know. But I've heard many an interview. I think of Justin Thomas off the top of my head, basically saying, look, everyone knows who the slowest player is. And in not so many words, and Brooks, they just hammered Bryson. So I think that when you get in the arena with Tiger, you know what you're getting into. It's going to be wild. It's going to be, when there were spectators, when there is spectators again, it's just what it is. With Bryson, you kind of get that, but you also get some other antics. You get put on the clock. He does some. He's got some weird ticks.
He almost takes you out of your game with his antics, and it's not like Tiger who's able to take you out of your game, do the mental, like I'm playing with Tiger Woods and just, the tiger steps and everything, right? But Bryson does it because he gets you in trouble with the tour you're on the clock, and now you feel rushed because he's playing slow.
Yeah,
I
I
see
think
where
if
you're
you're
going.
looking at if those guys are looking at so maybe this doesn't qualify as most hated player, but I'd argue if those guys are looking at a sheet of tee times and they see their name next to Bryson's, they go, I think that happens a lot. Because I think I would be in that boat. I like, especially Dustin Johnson. Can you imagine Dustin Johnson playing with that guy? I mean, that is just the incompatible pair right there. Dustin wants to go fast. He wants to just do his thing. Bryson, is going to look at a tap in like it's like it's a math problem.
Yeah, you're right. Those two are the exact opposite. Bryson's fine with playing a 6-hour round of golf, and Dustin wants to be in the clubhouse after 2.5 hours having his first beer. So yeah, I can definitely see that as well. Again, Matt, let the fans tell us what they think as well. Like, do you know a guy that you think is worse? Like, I'm going to stick with Patrick, especially after his antics this week. I think people on the tour are not just getting old, but they're old of it. So yeah, I'd love to see what they say. Matt, let me ask you a question. How do you find events that you want to play
in? That's a good question. Very tiring process usually of calls and maybe emails and Google searches.
Yeah. So it's pain in the butt is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's where I actually came up with my idea for my business, Next 18 Now. It is a tournament search engine. So, just getting off the ground, getting going. And, essentially what we're here for is to put events on our website and allow you to find the type of event you're looking for. If you're looking to play in a scramble, shamble, whatever, that's what we're here for, right? Go ahead and take a look at this video right here.
This is the story of Chris, James, and Paul, who are all involved in the golf business in one way or another. Chris is your average golfer who loves playing in golf events. Whether it's a 4-man scramble, 2-man shamble, or an individual stroke play, Chris is looking for his next event. Then there is James, your volunteer tournament director chosen every year to run a charity event. He hopes to fill a full field, but struggles to do so. And finally, there is Paul, the golf course operator seeking out events to fill his tee sheet throughout the year. When it comes to the week of the event, Paul finds out the tournament struggled to reach their intended numbers. These three comprise the most important part of the golf tournament event process: the golfer, the tournament director, and the golf course operator. And yet, they all have a similar problem. The logistics for golf events keep landing them all out of bounds. That's why Next 18 Now is empowering the golf community with the resources needed to bring everyone together, ensuring a successful event for all. Next 18 Now has carefully curated search engines, instant updates, and easy access for all participants, so your logistics can keep everyone updated and in play, all the way up to your starting time. Next 18 Now, getting your next golf event on the green from your first shot. Go online to next18now.com and register today.
Yeah, so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help the golfers. We're trying to help the golf operators. We're trying to help the tournament directors fill up fields, let people find what they're looking for. Feel free to check us out at next18now.com and let us know what we can do, or if you have courses in your area or events that you'd like to get on there. We'd love to help you guys out. So, Matt, I'm going to circle back around to waste management and tell you that, on my golf bucket list, it is definitely to be there at 5 a.m. on a Thursday or Friday morning, waiting for the gates to open at the stadium and sprint like I'm in the running of the bulls to get the best possible seat at the stadium and sit there and celebrate all day watching every single player come through, at the stadium. I mean, that is on my bucket list. Tell me a bucket list item for you on golf, man.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to do a lot in golf thus far, but there is still a lot that I have not done. I'm gonna kind of selfishly go off of like a playing standpoint, and it would be Bandon Dunes, specifically Sheep Ranch, the new golf course that they've got there. Very minimalist, very just overhanging cliffs on the ocean out there. Nice golf. You know what I want to do is just go out there, hand a caddy my bag, and just take a walk on all of those golf courses. That's up there on my list right now.
Man, I love that. Yeah, that would I probably wouldn't even care if I shot 101 playing Bandon Dunes, taking that walk, right?
Doesn't matter.
That would be incredible. I've been fortunate enough to play a few courses like that, or at least major caliber courses like Oakmont and Southern Hills and a few courses like that. But yeah, nothing that is as picturesque as you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And that does sound nice, especially the hand my bag off to the caddy, because I don't carry my own bag.
Hand it off and just take a walk. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Well, Matt, great time this week. A lot of good stuff. I love it. Look forward to recapping the Waste Management Phoenix Open next week with you, and continuing on this journey with Grip It and Sip It.
Love it, Jared. Thanks for we'll do it again next week.
All right. Thanks, buddy. We'll see you later.
See you guys.